Okay, welcome to the JSWIFT Certificate of Origin tutorial video. In this video, we'll be looking at how to complete a certificate of origin using the JSWIFT system. Now, the steps outlined can be applied to any certificate being applied for using this platform. Our video today will look at how to complete the general segment information, how to complete a special segment page, how to complete the item details page, how to upload attachments, and finally how to submit your application. Now you must first begin by logging onto the system. So you sign in using your login credentials that you received during your registration process. So now we're logged in. Now once logged in, you will see the trader dashboard being displayed. Go over to the menu, select certificate, and your option is new. Now when you select new, the general information page will appear. The general information page will capture information on the type of certificate being applied for, the applicant details, the exporter details, and the importer or the receiving party in the foreign country. Let's begin. Now the first thing you will have to do is to select the process type. Now the process type refers to the trade agreement for which the certificate of origin is being applied for. Now we'll be using CARICOM for a demonstration. However, please note that the steps outlined in this video can be applied to any certificate of origin application. So first thing, select your process type. So you choose the one which you're applying for. Your next step is to select the process region. Now your process region refers to the location of the government office that will be processing your application. In our scenario, we're doing the Trade Board Limited, and that government office is located in Kingston. So we choose Kingston. The next step is to identify who is the applicant. Is it a personal application, or are you representing a company or a business? Now please note, if you are representing a company or a business, this relationship must be established prior to completing this application. So if you have not done so, meaning you go to select an applicant and you do not have any available options, at this time, close the document and watch the video on how to register your company in JSWIFT, which is the same video as Entity Chief registration. Also, if you're an employee of an organization and you have not done your employee registration, then you need to do this before completing this application. Now let's say that you have done that before, so you would have seen your company's details outlined. My company is Manufacturers Plant Products, so I'm making this application on behalf of my company. Now if you notice, when I select the company details, the system autofills the TRN, the name, and the address. Now this information would have been inputted at registration for your business or when you did your employee association. Let's continue. The next step is to enter your contact details. Contact details refer to the individual who is preparing this application. I'll go ahead and I'll enter my contact details. Now please note that this should be your most current information so that in the event the government authority wants to reach you, they are able to do so. Our next step is the trader details. Now, the trader would refer to, in this case, the exporter, since this is an export document. Trader, manufacturer, and plants. Now, for some individuals during this application, you may be an agent for another company. Please note that if the application is being done on behalf of another person or company, you must first set up the agent relationship prior to completing this application. Now, to get the steps on how to create an agent relationship, you may visit e-learning and look at the tutorial content for agent relationship. Well, I'm doing this on behalf of my company, so the only option that I have available would be my company's details. I'm also not an agent for any other company, so I will not have any other options available to me. So I select my company's details. Again, if you notice, the TRN, the company name and address, all that is auto-populated. Our next step is to identify who the importer is. Now, your importer is the overseas recipient, which is the person or company in the foreign country that will be benefiting from this application. Now, let's go. So my company that I'll be shipping my goods to is located in Barbados. So I begin by entering the name of the company and the address for the company. Now we have completed our first page, which is our general information page. Now let's recap. We completed the page. Our regime was already set at export. We identified the type of trade agreement or the trade agreement for which the certificate of origin is being applied for. We entered the process region, which is the location of the government office. We identified our applicant details, our exporter details, and also who the importer is. Now we have finished our general information page. Let's move on to our special segment. Now to move to the next page, you scroll to the bottom of the page and select the option Next. Our next page to our special segment. Now the special segment will look at the country of destination, the manufacturer of the product, the consignee, and also it will capture the transport information. Let's go. Now, country of destination, as I said before, is Barbados. So let's select Barbados from the menu. And the list of options, Barbados, thank you. We continue, producer or manufacturer. Now, this section will capture the information on who the manufacturer of the products that we will be listing on the item details page. Now, the first thing is that we must first ask the question, is the manufacturer the same as the exporter? Now, if the manufacturer is the same as the exporter, then all you need to do is to check the box right next to manufacturer, same as exporter. And when that is done, the system will pull the information from the details we entered on the general information page about the exporter. Now, please note, if the manufacturer is not the same as the exporter, you should not check this box. What you should do is enter the TRN, the name, and the address of the manufacturer of these goods. Now, in our scenario that we'll be covering today, the manufacturer is the same as the exporter. But when we move to the item details page, I will show you how to complete the form when your invoice has the mixed scenario, which is the manufacturer being the same as the exporter, and also if your invoice have goods where the manufacturer is not the same as the exporter. We'll explore that further when we go to our item details. But let's say for now that the producer is the same as the exporter. If that's the case, you click this box. If your invoice has a mixed scenario, meaning you have goods for both your company and goods produced by another company, you may select this box as well if majority of the goods are produced by your company. If the reverse is the same, then you just type the details in for that manufacturer. Let's continue. Is the manufacturer premises located in a free zone? Now, if this is true, then you check the box. If it is not, then you leave the box unchecked. The consignee details. Now, the consignee would refer to the recipient of the goods overseas. Your consignee details would also be whoever is the receiving party on your shipping documents. Now, if your consignee is the same as your importer, then you check the box. Now, if you're not sure if your consignee is the same as your importer, look at the details for your shipping on your shipping documents. You will see the consignee details, and look on your invoice, you will see the importer details. If both name and addresses are the same, then you check, because your consignee will be same as your importer. So you can use your bill of lading or airway bill information and your invoice to verify whether or not they are the same. Now, in our scenario, we are sending the goods out. The invoice also has our information. So we check that the consignee is the same as the importer. Now, if you notice again, when I check the box, the system would autofill. Now, this information would have been pulled from the details previously entered on your general information page. Let's continue. We will now enter our transport details. Now, our transport details will capture the mode of transport, the carrier, the port of loading, your port of discharge, and also your shipping marks. Your mode of transport, we'll send our goods via sea or carrier, and you could choose any vessel. And I will not put any specific vessel in, but you just enter your vessel name. Port of loading, we'll say goods are leaving out of Kingston. You notice these are all available ports of loading in Jamaica, so we'll select Kingston. Port of discharge, where in the overseas country would these goods be offloaded? That's your port of discharge. You notice you're only seeing two options. Now, these two options would be related to the country of destination that you selected. So the system would filter and only display those available ports in that foreign territory. So Bridgetown, that's my port of discharge. Your shipping marks, so you enter your shipping marks. So whatever your shipping marks and numbers are, you enter that information. Now, if you're not sure, then you confirm with your shipping agents agent what your shipping marks are. If the goods have not yet been shipped, you enter your intended date of shipment. Now we have completed our special segment details. Let's move to our next page. We select next. At this point, we will look at our item details. Now, the item details page will capture information on the product. It will cover the description of the product, the commodity type. It will specify whether or not these goods were produced by your company or another company. It will also capture the specific invoice details for your product. So let's get started. Our item details. Now, to assist us, we have a search option. Now, I'll be exporting two commodities. We'll be looking at vinegar and Bamis, right? So we click search, and we will enter our first commodity. Now, there are two methods that we can use to search for our commodities. We can either use the HS code, which is the same thing as the commodity code or the tariff code, or we can use a keyword. Now, please note, when using a keyword, you will only receive a positive search result when that keyword is found in the description section of the tariff. Now, let's see what comes up when we search. All right, so we found vinegar because vinegar was included in a description in the tariff, right? So we select choose. Now, when we select choose, we now have our commodity description being auto-filled by the system. Now, we will go ahead and complete our commercial description. Now, your commercial description identifies the product by its common name, or it's the name that you will place on the invoice, or the name that you have already placed on your invoice. So if you have already prepared your invoice, at this time, you would have looked at your invoice and say, what is the commercial description? And whatever you have as your commercial description, you enter it on your page. Now, commercial description, remember, it's based on how you would present that item on your invoice, or how you already have presented the item on your invoice. Next thing is the commodity type. Now, there are two options available. The question is this product a primary product, or is this product a manufactured product? Now, you're able to determine depending on the type of product. Now, a primary product would be those products that we find in nature, whether on land or in the sea. They have not gone through any form of processing. Our manufactured products are those products that have gone through some change or modification, or what we refer to as the manufacturing process, right? So vinegar would have been a manufactured product. If I had sugarcane, then that would have been a primary product. So now we will identify that we have a manufactured product. So we click manufactured product. Now, remember earlier I said that on the item details page, you're able to specify the manufacturer of the goods. Now, if the manufacturer is the same as the exporter for the vinegar, so I produce the vinegar, I am exporting the vinegar, then I am the manufacturer and I am the exporter. However, if I did not produce the vinegar, I would not check the box and I would indicate who that manufacturer is. Now, this information would be important because it would assist the Trade Board certification officers in assessing whether or not this product has gone through the proper product analysis phase. All right? Remember, the purpose of this form is to identify origin of goods. So in my scenario, my manufacturer is the same as exporter, so I will check the box. The next thing is the country of origin. The country of origin, let me select, is Jamaica, because I said that these goods were produced in Jamaica, right? If your country of origin is not Jamaica, then you identify which country it is. In this scenario, these goods were produced in Jamaica. Your next step is to indicate your origin criterion. Now, your origin criterion would have been provided to the manufacturer in his letter of approval that would have been issued to him by the government authority during the product analysis phase. So it would have been included in your product analysis approval letter. So whatever information you have that relates to your product, you select the appropriate code. That's your origin criterion, and that's where you would find the information on your product analysis approval letter that would have been issued to the manufacturer of these goods. Now, if you notice, I did not fill any other of the boxes in. However, if your goods are going to Costa Rica, meaning it's a part of the CARICOM Costa Rica agreement, then you will need to complete this section, which indicates whether or not the goods described in the commercial description are on Annex 346 of the trade agreement. That this section is only required for the CARICOM Costa Rica agreement. That's not what we're doing. Our goods are going to Barbados, so we do not complete. But if so, you would have selected the appropriate response. So far, this is all the information we need, and we have already completed it. Let's continue to our invoice details. Now, at this point, we would have assumed that you would have already prepared an invoice. So you'd have had your supporting invoice, which would have had the invoice number, the invoice date, the delivery terms, the item values, quantities, and associated weights and packages. Now I'll enter my invoice number. So I look at my invoice, enter my invoice number, enter the date where that's on the invoice, enter the delivery terms that's on the invoice, enter the item value for this product, which is the total value for the product, or total invoice value for the product. I will enter that information on the page. Now it asks for a unit cost. So you look in the middle section of your invoice, that's the cost per unit, you enter that detail. Then we move to the top and we enter the quantity. And if you notice, the unit of measurement or the statistical value that is being asked for is saying liter. So that means that the value must be based on the volume of liquid in the shipment. Right? That's the liters. Number of packages. Number of packages. What type of packages have these goods been placed in for shipment? Boxes. So we have 1,500 boxes of vinegar in the shipment at a cost of $12,000 for the shipment, right? The gross weight in kilogram, which is the weight of the commodity and the package, that's the gross weight. And we enter that information. Now we have entered the details for the product. Now you would have observed that there are two other value components being asked for. Now these boxes would be mandatory for the JN2 Certificate of Jamaican Origin. That specific certificate of origin speaks specifically to clothing or garments. Now, if when I entered my tariff code, my commodity was clothing, then I would need to complete this section as well. So that's not my product. I'll just put zeros in the boxes. Fill that slot. Only because it's not clothing. However, please note that if you have garments or clothing, or if your application that you're doing currently is for a JN2 Certificate of Jamaican Origin, you must enter the values because that information is mandatory for that agreement. Now that I'm finished, I'm going to select the option Add Item. If you notice I selected Add Item, you must always select the option Add Item once you have entered any item details. Now once you select Add Item, the information will be added to the page and displayed in the manner we're looking at it now. If you have no other commodity, you go to Next. However, for my example, I have two commodities. I said vinegar and Bamis. So now I'll be adding my next item. So I select Add New. Now when you select Add New, then all you would need to do is to go through and follow the same steps as indicated before. So let's go. I'll be using my search again for Sesame. The goods are from my brand, which is the Pride brand. They are manufactured products. I am the manufacturer. Just recapping. My country of origin was made in Jamaica. My origin criterion, I would select the appropriate information. Not going to Costa Rica at all. Said Barbados, one shipment. My invoice details. My invoice date. My delivery terms. My cost for my Bamis. My unit cost. My quantity, please note the statistical value here asking for weight. So that's the weight. Number of packages that will be going out is my packaging. Again, we're using boxes. Gross weight. Weight of the package along with the weight of the goods. So this is your gross weight. So if it is asking you for quantity in kilogram, it is the weight of the product, right? So it is a net weight for this quantity. And again, we are not doing any garments, so we don't need to add the relevant information there. So we just fill the slots with some zeros and again add item. We have now added or 2 items. If you have another item to add, you repeat this step by selecting Add New, complete the page, and then Add Item. Now we're at the end of the item details section. Let's move on to how to add attachments. We click Next. And if you notice at the top of the page, it says required attachments and it's listed. Please note that these items or these documents that are listed at this section, which identifies required attachments, would refer to all mandatory attachments. Your document will not be submitted if the mandatory attachments are not added. So, what you must do first when you're uploading the attachment, you must identify which document you are uploading. So you go to Document Type, select the document by name so you can identify what you're uploading. In the box it says click to upload or drop files here. You click in the box, and this box, when you click in the box, it will open to your local device that you're using. That means that in order for you to attach a document, you would have to save that document to your computer before and recall where you saved that document. Now I have my commercial invoice. The format is PDF, right? So that's the best thing. Save the document as PDF. We click commercial invoice and we see the file name displayed. We click open. Now the information is on the page, but it will not be added until you select click to add attachment. Now, there you see the document you uploaded in PDF and the document description being listed in line with your mandatory attachment. Now, if there are other attachments, fine, you can always upload. However, the system will look to see if the mandatory attachments are added, and it will look for that using your document description. Now we are at the end of the application. We have completed our general information page. We have completed our special segment page. We have completed our item details. We have just completed our attachments, and we move to next. Now, if there are no errors on the document, if all the mandatory fields are completed, then your verification would be successful. You click OK, and then you can submit. Now, if you notice there is an option to store as well, please note that if you store, the document will not be given a registration number. You would have to go and search for that document and submit when you're ready. So the store button is there for persons who at the time of preparing the application, you're not yet ready to submit. However, if you are finished and you have completed all the necessary details, go ahead and submit. So you click submit, and there your submission is successful. You now have your application registration number, and my number is 2021 CER 96. Now this will be the number that will be used to reference the document for its entire life cycle. In our next video, we will look at how to search for a document in JSWIFT. Thanks for viewing. Now go ahead and practice how to submit an electronic certificate of origin in JSWIFT. Thank you for watching.